Welcome back to the channel, you guys. Hope you're having a great day today. In this video, we're dropping our fat stack of cash on the brand new amp from Monoprice. Let's be honest, these are Canadian 5s. They're not worth anything. I hope you guys are having a great day today. As I mentioned, we are checking out the brand new head and cab combination from StageRite. This is a 30-watt all-tube head, 112 cabinet with a Celestion Vintage 30. Now, as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of the StageRite 15-watt combo. That is a great little amp for not a lot of money. But as I alluded to at the top of this video, you're going to need a little more cash to pick up this. So today we're going to check out this amp. We'll play a bunch of tones for you guys. We're going to tear it down, see what the quality's like, and see if it's worth your money. Now, first things first, let's check out the cab. Now, my first impressions are they took a serious step up in quality. This feels like an actual professional cab. Much nicer, much more durable, than the little StageRite combo amp. So, just looking inside of it, we'll take a closer look when I tear it apart, but you can see it's 3/4 inch plywood. So no press board, no, OSB. This looks like actual plywood. I'll pull the backs off. We'll take a closer look. You get a proper jack interface on the back. I'm not sure why they always use the mirrored theme for like the StageRite stuff. It's so hard to read. But anyway, another huge upgrade, I don't know if you guys will be able to see this, is we've got a Celestion Vintage 30. This is a massive, massive upgrade over the 7080 that came in the combo amp, and I think you guys know how I feel about that speaker. You can't hurt anybody anymore. Now, like the matching cabinet, the head feels really, really well made. Very beefy. I think this one's going to last a long time. I'll pull the back off. We'll check out the tubes after we do our tones. And of course, we've got our foot switch. We've got selectable outputs in case you want to use this head with like a 4x12 cab or a 212. You can do that just right here. Foot switch, effects return on the back. On the front side, we've got high and low inputs. We've got our clean volume and a bright switch right there. And then we've got our overdrive, gain and volume. And if you don't have your foot switch, you can select channels right there. And we've got a shared 3-band EQ. And then from there, we've got reverb. We've got an overall tone, which is really kind of like a presence, control. And then on, off, and our standby. All right, I'm going to go hoof the 112 cabinet into my isolation room. We're going to keep the head in the studio here. Let's check out some tones. All right, so let's kick things off with some clean tones. I'm using my DBG Aurora plugged straight into the front of the StageRite amp in my neck pickup. Here we go. Now let's try that with the bright switch on. Definitely add some really nice shimmer. Let's take that bright off and try again. Kind of gives it a little bit of a Fendery tone where you have lots of high end and low end and a little bit of scooped in the mid. Okay, so let's take the bright switch off, and now let's go over to our overdrive channel. And I should mention it does come with a foot switch. I don't have it hooked up right now. So I've got the gain at about 4 here, and let's just see what that sounds like. Let's try that with the bridge. So some really nice crunch. Let's go up to about 7 on the gain here. I'm going to take the volume back down, so hopefully we don't peak. Let me check. Should be good. Up to the neck. Let's try it with that bright switch again. You know what? Let me grab a guitar with a little hotter output. So as you guys could hear, this is not a high gain monster, but what it does do, it does wonderfully. Let's go back to the clean channel with the bright switch on. We've got our B&G guitar here and play a little bit more clean. So just a really rich full sound. Sounds wonderful. Now let's go back to our Overdrive channel here. I'm going to dial some of the treble out on the guitar. Really responsive, so when I pick light, lots of clarity, and then if I dig in, you know, so it it responds just like, you know, a classic tube amp should, and all the tones on it sound really good. So for me, this thing sounds and behaves like a proper low gain tube amp should. The clean tones really rich and fat, and when you go to the overdrive, especially in the lower settings, it saturates just beautifully, gives you some extra sustain. So far so good, but let's do the teardown and see what the construction is like. All right, so I've unscrewed the back of the cabinet. Let's pull it apart and see what it's made of. Okay, so let's see if I can grab these quick disconnects. So here it is. Now, no press board, no OSB, we've got plywood, which is great. So this looks like maybe 1/2 inch plywood. Very, very nice. And of course, there's your panel. And on the back, same thing. So we've got solid wood over the entire cabinet, which is great news. So that's really lovely. And of course, you know, given the price of a vintage 30 on its own, I think this whole cab retails for about 200 bucks. So not a bad deal if you're looking for an extension cabinet. It looks to be really well made. All right, so let's check out the back of the amp. Now, I do have to say this is press board, but unlike the StageRight 15 watt combo amp, this is about 4 times as thick, so it just doesn't flex. So no big deal, but it is what it is, and I should mention that. The rest of the cabinet looks to be plywood, so really nice, very, very durable. Obviously, they all have protective corners on the head and the cab, and the Tolex seems very, very thick. So that's great, but check this out. We've got JJ tubes. I was just sort of assuming they'd all be kind of no-name, but we've got 4 EL84 tubes from JJ. So real tubes for our tube amp. What do you know? Let's check out one of the preamp tubes here. These are unbranded. I'm not sure if the camera will grab that or not, but anyway, we've got unbranded preamp tubes. So they seem to sound really, really good. Let's just clip that back in. There we go. Not sure what's going on with this power supply here, but everything, you know, looks nice and clean, and yeah, looks like a great tube amp. And on the front side, I've already removed the front grate, and I've got to say, I love the way it looks. I think it looks super cool, very industrial, very business-like, so love that. What I don't love is the fact that they went with the mirror front plate again. I hated it on the 15-watt combo, and I hate it again here. It just catches so much light and reflection. Unless you have the controls like memorized by touch, you have to be like 6 inches away to even read any of these things. So I think it's a terrible choice for a front plate, just because for the user it just becomes very, very awkward to see what it is. So it might look cool, but in terms of like usability, it's pretty poor. But all the pots and stuff feel really good. The toggles, very strong. So I think this is a great amp. So the big question is, should you drop your fat stack of cash on something like this? Well, first of all, the construction is very, very good, especially compared to anything StageRight has released before. This feels like a proper professional setup, feels really strong. Number two, I think it sounded fantastic. Number three, I think it looks great. It's like a little mini stack, looks really cool. And of course, you know, the head cabinet combination is much more flexible than just a combo amp, right? You can use this head, put it on your 412, put it on your 212, 210, whatever you got. You can power it with the head. If you'd like to use this cab with some of your existing heads, you know, it's just so much more flexible than a combo amp. So that's really great. So tons of pluses. Now comes the hard part. It's no longer 250 bucks like the combo. You're gonna pay real money for this setup. The cabinet here is 200 bucks. But again, you know, considering it comes with the vintage 30, that's not a terrible deal. And the head is 450. So we're talking about some real money there. So you put them together, it's 650, but if you buy them, you know, as a pair, it's 600 bucks. So that's the tricky part, because you get into like some real brand name options for 600 bucks. And if you spend 600 bucks, do you care that it says StageRight on it? You know, these are questions that you have to answer for yourself. The only thing I'll mention is if you have 500 or 600 bucks to buy a Marshall or a Fender or Vox, they're all getting built in China anyway. That's just the truth, or Vietnam or wherever, right? So it just comes down to what kind of brand name you can live with. But I think this thing sounds really good. I think it looks good, and I think it's built well. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. If you enjoyed this demo, be sure to subscribe to the channel. You can check out the t-shirts in the video description below. Other than that, have an awesome week.